Yes, we're good.
Awesome. All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the February 10th regular meeting for the Planning and Zoning Commission. We can please start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We don't have any alternates on, right? Okay. We'll start with introduction roll call. So start on mine there, Jeff.
Jeff DeRosa, Vice Chair.
Mr. Legnar.
Bob Legnar, Commissioner.
Kenny Parson, Commissioner.
Eric Rudvig, Commissioner.
Mike Kozlowski, Chairman.
Squirrel Graydon, Commissioner.
Staff with us.
Amanda Martinez, recording secretary, and Jeremy's gonna be on in a minute. He's just finishing up another meeting.
Okay. And that's what we got. Okay, great. So we will move on to number 3A. First, continuation of public hearing for PCZ 2519, Eppoliti Industrial Realty Inc. Site plan special permit, 15 Great Pasture Road, 0 Worcester Street. Would anyone here like to speak on behalf of the application?
Sure. Good evening. For the record, my name is Stephen Sullivan, professional engineer with Haley Ward. Since our last meeting, we were able to answer the last few remaining comments from SLR, the peer reviewer, and we submitted some revised plan sheets last week. Really, the only thing that was different, we submitted, they asked about the grading on the Seldenning property, and I gave them, there's a grading easement, a signed grading easement that will be filed on the land records between the applicant and the property to the south. They asked about where some of the NOMO 2-to-1 slope areas are, which I indicated on the landscape plan. They also asked about some legends, which we added to an erosion control sheet, and some silt fence extensions along the southerly driveway. And then we revised the precipitation rates in the drainage analysis, which didn't have any effect on the pre and post. It just changed some of the numbers. So I'm not sure if they were able to get back to the town planner or anything with anything.
Yeah, we did receive revised comments from SLR today, actually, just stating that they took a look at the latest plan and all of their comments have been addressed.
Okay, great. And I know we got the health department. Again, there was nothing. They wanted to make, if this was approved, some conditions in their, I think it was the January 13th, 2026 letter, Jeremy, the health department.
Yes, that's correct. And they revised that today, but yes, there were a couple of things in there that I think probably will just add as conditions of approval when we get to that point. Yeah.
Okay. So I have just the traffic engineer here. I guess we'll just open up to any questions the commission may have.
Great. Before we get to anything, I just want to, for the record, see Cindy Slater for Molly Dories, please. Thank you. Traffic engineer here is just strictly for questions. We're good with everything else.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's
fine.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We have a few questions just about trying to find ways to alleviate some congestion potentially at like shower
Right.
times. You know, coming and going in the morning and
Yep.
5 o'clock.
Yeah,
last time I don't know if it's, should I wait or?
Yeah. Let's get to, if there's anyone in the public in person, anyone online that would wish to speak to this project? Seeing nobody. Okay. We'll open it up to commission comments then.
Oh, wait. Oh, Nico.
Oh, Nico. Go ahead, Nico.
Hey, everybody. Good evening.
Name and address for the record.
Nico Jordan, 22 Wolf Pits Road, Bethel.
I can't.
Okay.
I just wanted to draw the commission's attention to the roof space is on my mind right now that I want us to do better as a town with regulating using the roof space on these industrial buildings or any like flat roofs that we come across. It's usually just void space that carries stormwater instead of being creative and trapping the stormwater at the point of origin on the roof in some sort of green roof or low impact development technique, or using solar panels. Just seems like another, it's another impervious surface that we have to deal with, and I want to see something in our regulations that addresses that for developers going forward. So I just wanted to add it to, I was hoping to get that added to our list. I know it may be too late for this development, I'm not sure, but it's been on my mind for a long time now, and it's something I think our regulations could and should address going forward. And I'd be more than happy to continue to that discussion at the appropriate time. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Nico.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I believe it'd probably be late on this application, but I do appreciate the input. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to this application before we move to the commission? Okay, seeing none. We'll start online, Jeff.
I have no comments. Nico, I think that's a great idea and we should consider it.
Okay. Mr. Legnar?
Well, my only comment would be, this has to be accepted by Danbury. Their plan is tied into our plan, isn't it?
Jeremy, would you like to speak to that as far as the combination between Danbury and Bethel there?
Yeah, I mean, you're reviewing it for your side of the town line. The world sort of ends at the town line for you guys. If you approve it and Danbury does not approve it, most likely the project doesn't move forward, but that'll kind of be on the applicant to sort that out later. So we don't have to really worry about what Danbury's doing with their side of the line. They'll undergo their process and we'll see how it shakes out.
Well, that's what I'm after, is to make sure that we're aware, or everybody's aware that, they're changing where some of the roof leaders are going, the water as far as that goes. So one plan has to really ties off the other.
Yeah, it is a comprehensive site plan. You've got the whole thing in front of you. You just only have jurisdiction over the portion that's within Bethel.
Right.
Anything else, Bob?
That's it.
Ken?
Yeah, I think everything is pretty clear.
Eric, I know you, questions about congestion or comments?
Yeah, I think that was the only thing that I really remember from our last meeting was just if there's any kind of strategies to mitigate those, 2 times a day where folks are going to be coming and going more often than normal. Whether it was, incorporating like a right-hand turn lane or, expanding access for folks leaving the complex to see if there's any consideration that could give us.
So if I could add that, because that was the comment that I had, the traffic report stated that it was going to add during the main entry and exit periods, 52 vehicles per hour. And the way that was presented was, well, that's less than 1 vehicle per minute. But as a comment was made by the commission, everybody's not waiting for 1 minute, 60 seconds, and then the next car goes, and then the next car. This is a mass pile in and a mass pile out. And there was a request that paired up with landscaping as to giving a right-hand turn to help alleviate both in and out at the time of the site. So I just wanted to piggyback on your comment.
No, I think it was, I just wanted to make sure we didn't forget it to follow up on it. So,
Yeah, for the record, I was not here last meeting, but I did catch up online. Mr. Sullivan or the traffic engineer, would you guys like to speak to that at all about the right-hand turn suggestions and how to mitigate potential congestion during rush hour?
Yeah, Thomas, once you, we talked about this before the meeting, but I'll let Thomas speak.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. For the record, Thomas Zhao, EIT with Kimley Horn. I'm presenting on the behalf of John Canning, PE, who prepared this report. So yes, the commission is right in the sense that the project is going to generate about 62 trips during the peak hour. And on average, that is about 1 vehicle per minute. And you are right that, you know, when a car goes to the driveway, they're not going to wait like 60 seconds for the next car to go, et cetera, et cetera. But we looked at the traffic volumes. We don't believe that it is likely that all 60 vehicles would be leaving at the exact same minute. Maybe say like 5 or 7 vehicles would be leaving at once. Just because there's a lot of like lag and variability to when people are leaving. You know, sometimes I'm leaving for work and then my supervisor pulls me over. He's like, Thomas, you got a minute to talk? And then I'm leaving like 10 minutes later. But there's just a lot of lag and variability from when people actually depart the site, from whether it's them catching up with like a coworker, or if it's like different business hours within the site, that doesn't necessarily funnel everyone into the same peak minute necessarily. I also like to point out that typically for unsignalized stop intersections, where we have like a smaller driveway going onto the main line, from a safety perspective, we would prefer to have 1-lane exits versus 2. And the reason for that is if you have a car, like a big, if you're trying to make a right turn onto the main line, you need to see to the left for any oncoming traffic. And if you have like a bigger vehicle, like a minivan or a pickup truck in that left turn lane, that has the real potential to block sight lines for you exiting to make that right turn, which poses a safety concern, which is the reason why we would prefer for these types of non-signalized intersections to do a 1-lane exit, just for the safety of turning vehicles. The site also has 2 driveways, so if you know, people exiting the site find that one driveway is for some reason a little busier than the others, they can just hop over to the other driveway and use that one instead. So just given the circulation access points around the site, we don't think it's necessary to have 2-lane exit driveways. But if the commission has any follow-up concerns, feel free to voice them. I can answer them to the best of my ability.
Great, thank you. Cindy, I apologize. Skip right over you before. You're muted, by the way.
Hi. So what you just said about sightlines being blocked by like a minivan, I live right off of Worcester, and sightlines are blocked right now just from snow. So
Well, we're cutting back that southern driveway. We actually are cutting the shoulder back to improve that sight line looking to the north or to the left if you're coming out of that southern driveway.
Right, because even if I'm making a right now, whatever a snowbank is in my way, I can't even see what's coming from my left on Worcester. So I still think, I personally think that having a left turn lane and a right turn lane would make things flow better.
Well, I think with the 2 driveways we have, you know, we're comfortable with having those 2 driveways be the entrance and exit points for this type of facility, and a 2-lane exit driveway, in our opinion, is not necessary because we have the 2 driveways.
Okay, and they're both both ways, like
Yes.
It's not
Entrance
one
and
is
exit.
in and one is out.
Nope, they're both entrance and exit.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So I need to add to.
Please go ahead.
So the 52 cars or vehicles that we're talking about are associated with the building that it's on the Bethel side of the property. the 9,750. But then we have two more buildings that are gonna go on, so we have a higher traffic count in total for the site. Is that correct, or am I missing something?
Yeah, so the 53 to 62 vehicles generated by the development is for the entire development.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, very much.
Anyone else? I don't have any comments at this time either. We have a decision, obviously, we could take a consensus if we want to, we have some time on this, Jeremy.
You do, you have time. Yep.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I just wanted, before we go one way or the other, just a consensus. I mean, I know you probably didn't get any answers on what you were looking for. Maybe you are satisfied with the reasoning, having two exits, which I totally understand, it gives you options of leaving or coming into the site. Eric Sproul, does that satisfy your concerns with the questions you've asked?
Frankly, no.
Okay.
Part of it could be that I'm having a great deal of difficulty hearing. We have some audio challenges here tonight, but it sounded to me that it was the same answer as before. It's 1 per minute on average, and away we go. And I just don't see it. Because the reality is that the type of work that goes on there, it's not going to be a staggered arrival and a staggered departure. When the whistle blows at 5 o'clock, everybody's out. And that's where the problem is going to be. And entries in the morning, when people arrive for either a 9 o'clock start, everybody's going to be coming in at the same time. So I would very much appreciate if you guys would give this some more thought.
I have a question, actually, now that I'm thinking, and maybe you guys alluded to this already, and I just don't remember. The southern entrance that's here on the plan, I'm just looking at it. Can that one or be the one, could that be right-hand turn only out? And then you could still have right and left out of the other one? And maybe people, it just becomes a function of the people work, people come to the site, they know, okay, I got to go right. I'm just going to go to that one because it's going to be quicker out and you're not backing up with people trying to cross traffic. You guys are the experts. It's just a thought on that side of things.
Or even right.
I mean, these are light industrial condos, essentially. It's not like it's an office building where everyone's leaving at the same time or coming in at the same time. These are going to be different types of businesses. It's the main building, which is the largest building, has been functioning for 50 years or so, and that's been occupied. And and the applicant has owned the property for just that long, since the beginning. And we've never heard from them that there's issues with entering and exiting the two driveways from the site. I'd prefer to have the two driveways be both one way in and one way out, and not just a right out.
Good.
I think it's better circulation that way.
I tend to agree with you. I think I'm kind of of that mind. I totally understand if somebody else has a different opinion, but the type of use that it is, light industrial, you're gonna get some smaller tenants, larger tenants in here, and they are gonna have different hours. Guy's gonna have a landscaping business that he's gonna put his stuff in, or a painter, and not necessarily gonna be a ton of people. But that's just pure speculation on our part. But just go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that almost cuts both ways, right? You can assume that there's going to be no overlap with coming and going, but you can also assume that there's going to be complete overlap, right? Everyone's going to come in at the same time, and neither one is likely, but I almost feel like we have to kind of consider both possibilities and just plan for safety around that. I also just personally always have a difficult time with this kind of like drop in the bucket traffic projection, because I feel like over time, all those drops fill the bucket, right? And I know it's just this one thing here and this one project, but then we talk about something else and everything gets a little bit more congested, and I think to treat it as though it's minimal or negligible impact is probably not fair long term. So
How far along is Danbury on their side?
The traffic engineer had no comments. The city's traffic engineer. He was satisfied with everything. I'm still waiting for the planner comments and the engineering department comments as far as drainage, that sort of thing.
I'll just say, side note, personal experience, traffic engineer in Danbury is usually pretty strict with those type of things as well. So I'm just,
I mean, it's not like it's one big manufacturing plant.
no.
Correct.
I appreciate every, like, I totally understand where we're coming from here. So I guess where I want to go with is, it sounds like we understand the position of the applicant, you know, preferring the in and out on both and not restricting it to a right-hand turn lane. And of course, we've got Danbury still reviewing it and their comments. We have the opportunity to keep the public hearing going if we'd like to, or I could take the consensus and we can close the public hearing tonight. We obviously don't have to act on that tonight, but we can discuss it in our work session later. So I'll just go through just for consensus. Jeff, would you be open for closing the public hearing? Jeff, you're muted.
Sorry. Yes, I'd be open for
Okay.
that.
Bob?
Yeah, we could close it.
Okay. Cindy?
Yep.
Ken?
Yeah.
Eric?
yes.
I'll say yes.
I'll abstain.
Okay. Totally understand. We don't have to take a,
No, it's a consensus.
all right, so it's a
Yeah,
consensus.
yeah.
So we will close the public hearing for this application.
Okay, thank you very much. Good night.
All right, moving on, we have 3B PZZ 2515 and PZZ 2603, 67 Greenwood Property LLC and 69 Greenwood Property LLC. Special permit for reduction in parking, site plan excavation fill permit 6769 Greenwood Ave. The applicant has written us a letter and requested that the withdraw their application. And then also simultaneously, immediately, start a new application. This was coming up at the end of their, timeframe. And I know that there's been a lot of back and forth, with new site plans. We don't even have all the comments back. So we are going to, close this, and then I would like to, make a motion to add the new business to add, the stated name that I just said, 6769 Greenwood Ave to our new business. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. So we will add that to 7B
Mhm.
on new business. Okay,
Michael,
Thank-
we closed that as a withdrawal, right?
yes.
Yeah, so you don't need to really close it, but it's fine.
Okay, so,
No, it's fine. Yeah,
okay, that's fine. So moving on to our business meeting, has everyone had a chance to review the meeting minutes from the 127-26 meeting?
Yes.
Does anyone have any comments about the meeting minutes? Seeing
Motion
none,
to accept.
I will make a
Oh,
motion.
his phone was on.
Oh, Bob, I'm sorry, do you have something?
I motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm gonna abstain just because I wasn't there, so.
Okay.
All right, 5B, invoice. We have an invoice here,
And I emailed it to you guys.
Yep. For Hearst Media Group, for $1,180.50. I'll make a motion to approve paying the invoice.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Moving on to the work session. We have 6A, the Farms at Stony Hill for the bond release for the landscaping. Jeremy, do you have any information you want to add to that?
Yeah, you've got the bond release request in front of you. You've got a letter from the project engineer of record. You've also got the as-built for the project. Buildings have been issued their certificates of zoning compliance and certificates of occupancy. At this point, they are just looking for the release of those two bonds. One is related to the E&S controls on the site, and the other is related to on-site improvements and streetscape improvements along Route 6.
And as you said, we have all sign offs from all departments. I'm just curious more than anything. The civil engineer of record does the kind of as-built thing. It's not a third party thing, right?
Correct. It's not a third party. It's the engineer of record.
Okay.
It's their license that's on the line if they're misrepresenting the
Understood.
reality.
Does anyone have any
One
comments?
question. There's still work to be done on the front building, right? Where they have to put up one more building?
Yes, there is still the medical office building area that is still vacant, fenced off, and unused at the moment.
But the site work is all done for that building to go up at a certain size.
Yeah, the site work is all done for the rest of the development out behind that area. Yep.
As I understand it, that front medical office building is parceled off, so it's, although it looks like it's all part of the same construction site, it is not technically.
Correct. It is technically a separate parcel.
Okay.
Anyone else have comments about this? Anyone here? Okay, then I will make a motion to release the bond for the farms at Stony Hill.
Second.
Second. All right, all in favor, or do we have to do a roll call, or?
I mean, it's good to do a roll call because sometimes someone might say no, I might miss it.
Okay, we'll go a roll call. Jeff?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Cindy?
I have a question. Do I abstain because I don't really know anything about this? I think this happened before I was ever a part of planning and zoning.
Yeah, no, I agree. Probably half this commission, if not more, probably wasn't here when the project was originally approved, but basically all we're doing is looking at the documentation that Amanda's provided us and our expert here from the town just filling us in on where the thing stands. So it's just a formality for us to go through the process. So I it's a good question.
But she wants to abstain.
But you can also
Okay.
abstain if you're not comfortable.
I'm going to abstain only because I really
Okay.
don't have enough information.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Eric?
Yes.
Myself, yes.
Yes.
Okay. So moved there. Move on to 6B. We have an 824 referral for Eversource easement. Jeremy, I'll kick it back to you.
Sure. Again, you've got a letter there in front of you from attorney Melanie O'Brien. This is a very small piece of land or a very small piece of a property that the town owns that we're going to be granting an easement to for CLNP. You've got her rationale for doing so, and you're just reviewing it to ensure that it's consistent with the plan of conservation and development. And I think in my staff comments, there's nothing that you're going to find in the plan that says, yes, providing an easement to CLNP is in fact consistent, but you will not find anything that says it's not. It's for public utilities in town. It makes sense to provide the easement. We're not selling them land. We're just allowing them access.
Okay. Again, just for those, this kind of formality, anytime there's a piece of property that has to be conveyed or an easement, then, this is the process we have to go through. Seems like everyone in town is in favor of it. And okay, so I'll make a motion to approve.
Sorry, you're just not doing, just giving a positive.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Thank you.
We're not actually conveying the property, we're just giving them an easement to pass over.
Correct.
Okay. So no motion.
I don't know. Jeremy, does it have to be a motion or can they just be like positive?
I think a motion to send positive comments to a positive referral back to Board of Selectmen is appropriate.
Thank you, Jeremy. I'll make a motion to send positive comments back to the Board of Selectmen for the 824 referral, as described by Jeremy earlier.
Second.
All right, we'll go roll call. Jeff,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
myself is yes.
Yes.
Yes, 7-0. Cool. All right, new business, 7A, PCZ 2604 Larson Investments LLC, special permit site plan at 23 PT Barnum.
So this is a accept and schedule a hearing. There's a special permit application involved in this project. It is a redevelopment of a building on the corner there at PT Barnum and Main Street, a removal of a couple of accessory buildings and some parking. So they're just looking to have this accepted and schedule a hearing tonight. My recommendation for a hearing date would be March 10th at the soonest.
Does anyone have any comments or anything about that?
That's behind the liquor store?
Yeah.
Good.
They're famous.
Okay,
Oh.
Yeah. Mhm.
is that, you got that? Yes, Bob, I believe that's where you're in the right spot there. Make a motion to, set a public hearing date of 3/10/26 for 23 PT Barnum Square and send the drawings to all the pertinent departments within town for their review.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. Moving on to 7B, which we just added to our agenda. And that would be to set a public hearing for 6769 Greenwood Ave. And the LLC is described earlier. Also to 3/10/26. I know it's already being reviewed, but to also be reviewed by all the pertinent town departments. Second?
Second.
All right.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Move. All right, move on to number 8, public input. I will invite anyone here from the public. Do you have any comments?
I have comments.
Please come up and state your name and address for the record, please.
Sure will. Nancy Sudik, 2 Ridgedale Road. So I have 2 things, but the first one's really easy, so I'll start with it's useful. Is that Excel sheet you worked on, is that accessible to the public?
Oh, no.
I don't know either.
I can't.
I mean, it's presented to the commission as an informational thing. I suppose anything is accessible to the public. It's kind of a working document that I keep for my records as we move along with the moratorium.
I see, but then I could find it online? Is that what
No.
It
you're
is
saying?
not posted on.
Got it. I could ask for it.
Yeah, you can ask for it and I can
Absolutely.
email it to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, actually-
Email you tomorrow.
Sure, I'll write it down right now.
She's wonderful, by the way, in case anybody isn't aware of that.
All in favor?
And she knows so much. I remember when you first started, you knew nothing.
I know. She's not wrong. No, she's
No,
totally not wrong.
She admitted that she said, I don't absolutely know. And Nancy helped train her.
Yeah.
Nancy that you followed. Anyway, the rest of this question isn't quite as easy as that one was. So I have a question about the moratorium, and I suspect that I'm going first, but then there's going to be the planner report, and I may get all these answers. And if so, I apologize for taking the time, but I recognize that the lack of a local ordinance, apparently, this is what I understood from watching the video from last time. It makes it difficult to penalize landowners who ignore requests for required certificates. So you guys kind of like have your hands tied. And if they're going to ignore your certificates and there's no ordinance that has any kind of a meat in it or that makes them do that, is there any other technique or tactic that one could use? The delay is stalling the 830G moratorium application, and which on the surface of things maybe doesn't sound terrible, but it's allowing continuing development which will permanently alter the character of this town that I've lived in for 50-something years. And it won't be the same anymore. And that upsets me very much. And it upsets me to know that the moratorium is being delayed because there are certain landowners who are not cooperating with you. Can their names be revealed? I mean, that to me would be a real deterrent for me to do something that isn't very nice if my name's going to be in the newspaper. Could that happen? Is there an alternative strategy for non-compliant owners? Can we tell them their names will be made public? Is that a possibility? It would serve as a strong deterrent for some, maybe not everyone. So I'm also requesting from you a realistic assessment, because I've been listening to this moratorium stuff for a couple of years now. If a moratorium application is not imminent, is the public being given false hope? Because I feel like I've had false hope for a couple of years. Like, oh yeah, they're going to have a moratorium. We would never have something like what happened on Nashville Road ever happen. Right. And we also have a new statute for Connecticut, 8002, which is now the law. Is that going to affect the current moratorium, which we don't have a moratorium? Is that going to affect us? Like, are their rules different? I have no idea. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, this is a comment and question regarding all the work on your plate, which I certainly have noticed. The Planning and Zoning Commission is managing a heavy workload well beyond your routine applications. As a long-term observer, I find it difficult to track the progress of ongoing initiatives, specifically the TOD redrawing of the lines for the TOD, the walkability and traffic mitigation studies, and the current moratorium. It's impossible for me to figure out what everything is, where you are on it, if you're even working on it, like the walkability study. There was a nice meeting one day, but like whatever happened to that, I have no idea. And the traffic mitigation. So given that these issues have been before the commission for several years, could you provide a timetable or some kind of key benchmarks or something like that for each of these major projects that have been thrown at you, in addition to all the applications you're doing? That's a lot of work for a bunch of volunteers. Also, to help the public stay informed, could you share the target completion dates for all of these tasks? It's helpful for me and maybe the public as well to see a clear path toward resolution. So that's all I have.
No, I
I'm
appreciate
sorry.
that. And I think everyone here on the board agrees with everything you're saying, both with regards to the moratorium, the lack of enforcement we have, call it, that we have. And we've had discussions about that, and we will continue to have discussions about that. And then as far as the other initiatives, couldn't agree more. We had great presentations in the GP room about the walkability.
Oh, I know.
And then we kind of stopped there.
Yeah.
So I think as far as 8002, Jeremy's going to give a quick update in his planners report. I think for me, I haven't had a chance to talk with everybody. Getting this commission to understand that and what that is going to, how it's going to affect our town is going to be one of the most important things. And I don't want to say I'm going to bump those above everything else that you had just mentioned, but I think we need to grasp that, understand the implications there, and then we can work our way backwards. And I would love, within the next couple meetings, have a timetable for all those things for you, and we'll make sure that we work on them.
That would be terrific. I think that would help everybody, including the commission.
No, I agree.
Thank you.
So
that would be great.
Isn't it's in the selectmen's ballpark right now, as far as any kind of finding?
That's what we
yes,
said.
yeah, for the there has to be a
So we're waiting for that.
yes, to be able
Well,
to enforce.
we made a motion in the past to send a letter
Mhm.
to them to say, hey, we need you to expedite this. I don't know the status of that. Was a letter sent? I don't think a copy of that was posted.
It was supposed to be brought to you tonight. I can tell you that because I watched the video
Okay,
the other day.
so that's what I'm saying. I haven't seen the letter.
Where is it?
Oh, when we get past public comments and we get to my report, I will update you on the process of all of that stuff.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Great.
I had a feeling you'd say
I
that.
appreciate that. But duly noted.
Thank
Understand
you.
your concern,
Thank you very much.
and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Would anyone else here in person like to speak? Public input. Anyone online have anything they would like to add? Nico Jordan, name and address for the record.
Thanks, Nico Jordan, 22 Wolf Pits Road, Bethel, for the record. Maybe Jeremy can talk about it in his planning report, maybe not, but I was just, with the Eversource easement, whenever I hear Eversource, you know, I pretty much synonymous with trees coming down in our area. So I would have, if he said it was a very small piece of property, but I would like to see where the property is, what the property is, and ask if there's any significant town trees that need to be preserved on said property before signing it away.
It's right at the bottom of 302, where the power lines are. It's right there. It's a very small piece.
Okay. Yeah, just for discussion,
So,
just as
yeah,
a point of
Nico-
kind of order and discussion for
If
future
this is not
easements.
online, we could certainly put the easement map up there for you. But it's got a, you know, it's about a 30 by 30, 30 by 20 triangle, that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's right on the corner of, right on 302 there, right where power lines kind of go through the school system. So it's somewhat cleared already right there, but we will certainly put this map up if it's not accessible there for you.
Yeah, they just, you know, Eversource is ruthless with their tree cutting, and we should be careful of that, I think. But thank you.
Anyone else in the public online? Seeing none. All right. We'll move on to the man of the hour then. Planners report, Jeremy.
All right, I'll make it brief. Let me address the updates to the ordinance first. And you're right, I did not prepare a letter, and that's because I had a conversation with Melanie O'Brien late last week when I was in the office. We met for about an hour and a half and covered a whole bunch of topics, and one of them was the ordinance update. So let me read you an email that she sent to me on yesterday, with an update of where the Board of Selectmen is with regard to those ordinances, which will allow us to fine zoning violators. So she says they've had a second review comment of the proposed revised or new ordinances. This group of ordinances deals primarily with compliance and enforcement. Of particular importance to P&Z are the new or revised ordinances, citation procedure fees, blight, and an ordinance being drafted as per statute to allow for liens on real property for failure to pay fines for zoning violations. There is some information that will be required from certain town departments in order to finalize the revised new ordinances. She's going to coordinate with Dan Carter to communicate those information requirements to the respective departments. Once finalized, the ordinances will be presented to the Board of Selectmen for consideration and action. She'll have a better idea of time frame once the ordinances are complete and the process as per charter for adopting ordinances begins. So that all said, it's actively being worked on it. We can certainly send a letter, but I don't know that that's going to speed up the process at all. It's very much in the works.
I think we just want to be on record as being in favor of creating this ordinance.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. I mean, you know, it's being created, it's being drafted. We'll put a letter together and I'll run it by Mike later this week if that works for the commission. If you want to do that, I just, rather than putting a letter together that kind of said, "Hey, folks, let's move this along," I actually had an update for you from the town attorney, and I wanted to talk to you about that before we put pen to paper.
No, I think I appreciate that update, Jeremy, but I do think that the commission members here and the public would appreciate it.
Okay.
Just a quick memo over. You and I could talk about that, and we can circulate that amongst the group and get that over. I think, and listen, we know they want to enforce this just as much. So we're right there with them.
Yep. So I'll put something together and send it to you, Mike, a little later on this week.
Thank you.
I got a question
regard
about
to-
that, Jeremy. Can I just
Yep.
I have a question about that? Can in the letter, can we request a timeline? You just listed off a bunch of things in Melanie's email, and I couldn't put that together on how many meetings and about, an about timeline, just so we have put our minds at ease.
Yeah, I'll do that. And that was part of the conversation that I had with her on Wednesday. And that was her response. But yes, I can do that. Right.
Thank you.
Is it late spring, early summer? Is it late summer, early fall? That kind of thing. Just give us a rough estimate. Yep.
Early spring.
Yeah. Let's hope. Ordinances move slowly. That I know.
Yeah.
Okay, regard to 8002, and this part's written. My firm has scheduled a focused workshop with land use attorneys from Haller and Sage. That'll be some of the big guns that you see at some of the trainings around the state. It'll be Mark Brantz, it'll be Rich Roberts, and a few others. For all of our client towns, that will be a webinar. It's going to be held March 11th at 7 o'clock. I will get you the registration details as soon as I have them, but that is in writing on our calendars. So we'll send you an email. If it's not out later this week, it'll be out next week with a flyer and a web link for signing up for that. I encourage all of you to attend. The goal here is to come away with that, or come away from that with solid action items to be able to move forward with regulation revisions to remain compliant with 8002. So stay tuned. I'll get you that information as soon as I can. But March 11th, 7 o'clock. I would, like I said, it's a webinar. We have towns all over the state. We don't want people driving, so we're doing it online.
Jeremy, is that going to be recorded?
I suspect it will be. I don't have an answer to that yet. You're the second person to ask me today. I suspect the answer is yes. I'll get an answer for that. I think we'll probably record it.
Hey, Jeremy, are we talking an hour, 2 hours, roughly?
Let me look to see. We're not going to keep you all night long. Let me see if I know that. Hang on, hang tight.
I get past my bedtime.
Doesn't have
Oops, sorry, Jeremy, go ahead.
I was just going to say it doesn't. I'm not showing an end time right now, but I'll get you an answer to that as well.
And Jeremy, can it go towards whatever training we need?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep. All right, so that's that piece of it. Any other questions on that while we're on it?
No, and I just want to reiterate, I know you and I have gone back and forth on that. That's obviously going to be very helpful. And then you and I have talked about potentially adding something to our agenda so the public could speak to that, or even having a special meeting to talk about 8002, because it's approved, and I know we've got to have some action items that we have to do, and it's going to be very important here.
Yeah, there are a couple of pieces of it that come into effect as of July 1. So we'll have to move a little bit quickly as spring progresses on getting those things into the regulation. As I've said before, the TOD as written gets you pretty far along the way in terms of compliance. We might have to make some tweaks. The bigger thing is going to be some of your other commercial zones. You already allow residential uses in most of your commercial zones to some extent. So again, your regulations, I think, are in pretty good shape. We might have to make a few tweaks, but we'll really dig into that. I think what we probably will want to do is either take your second March meeting and dedicate it to this stuff, or schedule a special meeting somewhere end of March, early April that is dedicated solely to this. But let's get through March 11th first, and then we can talk a little bit more. Just an update, applicant of the project at 72 Reservoir Road has filed an appeal with the Superior Court for relief from 3 of the conditions that were imposed on that approval. That's the 3 duplexes that were approved on the corner of Knollwood and Reservoir Road. Yeah, Chuck and I think we sort of anticipated that might be the case, and we will work towards a resolution as we move forward. More to come. That's all I know right now. The appeal was filed late last week, and we'll keep you updated as that progresses. And then finally, with regard to moratorium application, I gave you updated information last week with my staff report. Since then, I did get 1 new certificate for 64 Worcester Woods, and I have had additional conversation actually yesterday with the developer of 91 Worcester, 9 Good Hill, 49 Taylor, and 42 Nashville. And I know that those are all in the works. He's been in communication with the Affordable Housing Administrator, Mark Nolan. So those things, the missing pieces are all actually in the works right now. I did speak with Melanie O'Brien as well. She's had communications with Mark regarding Lexington Meadows and Worcester Woods. In terms of getting the certificate of compliance from him on those 2 developments as well. Again, timeline I can't give you for Mark, But we're getting there. Everybody has communicated with me. I've got nobody that has ghosted me. So we are getting there. It's a slow process, but we're closer than we were a month ago. A lot closer.
So Jeremy, this has become my pet focus here. In terms of the second letter, I know you addressed having received a certificate. What about sending out the second letter? Do you have new letters that went out? Because we were missing a whole bunch, right?
They went out.
All of them?
And that should be reflected on the chart that you got late last week. Second letter went out on the 4th of February.
Okay, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong spreadsheet. My fault.
That's okay. I knew you were going to ask me, Sproul, so I wanted to make sure that I got those letters out before tonight's meeting.
All right, thank
I
you.
know the letters.
You did. Good for you.
Thank you,
I'm on
Jeremy.
it.
Does anyone else have any other questions for Jeremy? Thank you.
Michael, I have a question. I want to make clear in everybody's mind, because some comments that have been made over the course of a couple of years, what a moratorium does for us. It only gives us a four-year timeout to plan further how we're going to handle affordable housing. It doesn't end affordable housing for good.
That's a good point, Bob, but and correct me if I'm wrong, Jeremy, but with other projects that we know are not on this list that have been approved, there will be additional affordable, and we can then apply for another moratorium after that.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, there's another threshold that you'll need to meet by then in terms of the number of affordable housing units that you add between, now and 4 years from the approval of this moratorium. So, you still need to continue adding units. And you can do that in a number of ways. You already require affordable units up in the Route 6 zone for residential. You require affordable units in your TOD. The new housing legislation has a provision for some housing unit equivalency points related to certain development types if you choose to add those to your zoning regulations. So there's a number of ways to continue adding HUE points without 830G projects.
And I think that's why over the years, this commission has adopted those regulations in the Stony Hill zone and in the TOD zone, as much as I know that's a buzzword
Right.
people don't like, but that is a tool we have to, when a developer comes in and wants to do multifamily, with our ratios that we've asked for, it could keep us trending in the right direction where we're not losing
Yes.
any percentages.
So that brings a question for me, which is, should we have like a separate tab that starts tracking those 830G projects that have not received a CO but are in construction, so that we can know what's coming down the line and what we can start to count on?
Yeah, we have those. And if you want me to add a tab to this spreadsheet or count those somewhere else on this spreadsheet, that's fine. This was focused on what we're trying to show for this existing moratorium. But if you want me to add those, we can.
In my opinion, it's up to the commission, of course. In my opinion, this gives us a complete picture, tells us what we're working on for 24 and 25, but it also tells us what's coming down the road. So it gives us a better ability to plan. Just my opinion.
I think it's a great idea.
It's a good idea of what we have, to look at down the road and what we have in our back pocket.
Okay, I'll add those.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's
I have
like
a
a
question.
good framing of the whole conversation, I think, for us, but also for the town, where it's not a finish line, right? This is a process that is going to be ongoing regardless of, whether we hit this moratorium or not. We have to be kind of continually planning instead of patting ourselves on the back if and when we get there. So.
Agreed. We've kind of morphed into from planner's report. I know Bob with comments there. So commission comments, Bob, do you have anything else that you would like to add tonight?
Nothing else. Keep after the moratorium. That's all I have to say.
Agreed. Jeff?
Yeah, Jeremy's just a question about the letters that we're writing. The letters that we're writing, even though the ordinance isn't in place for violation, the letters still mean something and we can jump right to a violation for people that didn't respond to the letters, correct?
Yes.
Like we don't have to start over with letter number one once this
No,
stuff
this one is a notice that they've missed the deadline of January. I mean, some depends on which plan. Some plans say January 15th, some say on or around January 1st. So I kind of considered that all for January 30th, just give them the month to get the paperwork done. And this letter basically said, you missed the January deadline. You have 30 days to get this information in, or we will issue a cease and desist after. It's not going to be a cease and desist. It's a notice of violation with an order to correct is really what it is, because we can't stop them from, the projects are already built. But yes, and if we had to, we can pursue this with the court. It is a zoning violation. And we follow the normal path.
Okay. And then one other comment, Nancy mentioned all the projects we have and, wanting to know status of them. Nancy, the volunteers here certainly put in some time and effort, but the staff, Jeremy and Amanda and, our consultants certainly put in more time for this stuff. And I think that we should have them be focusing on this moratorium and not putting more items on their list for now. That's all. Thanks.
Cindy, you have any comments tonight?
I'm good. If you hear noise, it's my dog and my cat. Sorry.
Ken?
Jeremy, if I'm reading it right, the Lexington Meadows is between 30 and 35% of our total numbers. Is that about right?
That sounds about right. Yep.
So to me, focused on that should be the number one, because that's going to be roughly a third or more of what we need. Can anything else be done on that one alone?
Yeah, like I said, we're waiting for the town's affordable housing administrator to get us the paperwork on that. He reviews all of the transactions, all of the sales that go on in that development. And I know Melanie has been in touch with Mark about that. So, we're just waiting for him to finish up his review and certification that everything is compliant. I have no doubt that it is. We just need to get the form in.
Okay.
Anything else, Ken?
Yep.
Eric?
Yeah, well, first of all, Mr. Commissioner, 7:56 cooking today again. You'd seen last week when, your vice chair was just laboring to get it. No,
Very funny.
I don't want to derail us. I do feel like I really like the idea of structuring some of our meetings. I think Ms. Sudek's point is really well taken. There are, yes, we know what our priorities are. I think it's good to be aware of that and honor that, but also we do have other things that are important. I think, Nico talked about, can we consider something for these, warehouse style buildings that is more environmentally friendly or is going to pay off in the long run because it's more sustainable. I feel like I don't want to lose sight of that because I know we get caught up and then meetings last for 2 hours and we're all kind of.
That's why I try to get it done faster.
I know, and I respect it. Here I am talking, but I do feel like if we can even think about like how can we build into, a meeting that might be a little bit on paper quicker to revisit some of this stuff, because I do think it's important. I mentioned the walkability stuff at our last meeting because I do think it's easy to lose sight of that, and those are for me the really big leverage things that matter to people, and we got to be talking about.
Well, I agree, and I would like to. I'll do some asking around too, because I know when we left it off, there were some grants to be had, and what happened with those, and is that available? And I know there's been talk about some additional parking out here on School Street, and maybe connecting back here to School Street. I hear rumblings of those things happening, so getting an update on those I think will be helpful. And it's for maybe anyone here could reach out to Dan find out what, they're doing, and then I know economic development, they're always working on the grant side of things and see what we can do, because, those are just gonna make the town so much better.
Yeah.
Those type of things. I couldn't agree more with those, and, I don't want to jump on it.
No, I think that's right on the money, and I feel like it's easy when you get flooded with other stuff to talk about.
I think the last year was
there's a lot.
there was a lot.
Yeah.
But I do feel like we've got some good applications that we can pay attention to, and then also simultaneously get some administrative stuff done as well.
And I don't want to suggest more work for any of us. And when I say work, I mean more meetings, but like, if a conversation that feels big, the walking mobility study and revisiting that and thinking about what our next steps could be for that. And I know we're not operating alone onto ourselves, right? There's other people that are going to be involved. Is that something we should think about planning, a special meeting for to talk about it? So yeah, just want to keep the conversation alive.
I'm on board with those things. I'll go last. I'll let you go. School, if you've got anything.
Jeremy, could you, or Amanda, either one of you, send me the spreadsheet as an Excel and not as a PDF, and I'll update the scorecard for attainment levels.
Yeah, I did that. Again, that's in the latest version that went out on.
No, but I'm talking about on the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little box that says we have so many certified projects, percent of total projects, certified points to date.
Kind of like a scorecard.
Yep,
Yeah, the
I updated those numbers for you.
They're the same as the previous one.
Oh, that's because you know why, Sproul? Because the numbers didn't change, but I updated it. So when we got a new certification on, I think on Monday or Friday, and I've updated it since then. So nothing had changed since the last meeting to the version that you've got, but the next one that you get will have the updated numbers.
Yeah.
I'm just offering to help with that clarity.
Yeah, no, you're good. I like what you did there, and I saw you included some formulas, so it's easy enough to update.
A year from now, we're sitting here.
That's it.
Thank you. I hope, Nancy, and anyone else in the public, that we have a little bit more than false hope here, because I know where you're coming from. I feel like we sat here a year ago and we didn't know what we didn't know back then about some of the administrative stuff that was lacking our support, and we thought we had an application that was ready to go, and thankfully our diligent town attorney realized it was probably not up to par, because we would have just wasted a lot of time and resources, and you don't want to piss anyone off in the state. So I think we're getting there. Amanda, Jeremy, our attorneys, they're all working their butts off on it, and I feel, and I love Sproul's emails going back and forth. I know he's pushing as hard as he possibly can on this. So thank you to everyone who's been working on that. I do like the making the names public. I just don't know if we're allowed to do that. And it's certainly a conversation. I don't know if it's make the names or the properties public. Is that something you can do? Is there public pressure you can do like that?
I mean, here's the reality, right? It's all public record. Anybody can go on the GIS or on the town record cards and find out exactly who owns what and what their address is and all of that. So, I don't know that the town should be in the business of publicly shaming people, but if there's somebody out there that, wants to dig into this stuff and do that homework, everything's accessible. Let us work it as the law allows us to work it.
Great.
We do that when people were behind in their taxes. I mean, they wait till a certain point where the thing is actually going to foreclosure before they make it part of the public record.
Right.
That's all. I just want to make sure we address all your comments. I know we don't have answers on everything, but we are, I think, as a board, very, very eager to work towards those things. So I appreciate it. Anyone else? Last. I guess I can.
Motion to adjourn.
All right. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? I think I did. I think sometime in the fall.